Okay.
I am not suicidal.
Okay.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Let me know if the audio is good, if you heard that. And Winston also says he actually just burped, and now he's sniffing the mic. Good morning, everyone. Now, by the way, we're going to get to that clip in a bit, and I am not making any jokes about Jussie Smollett as relates to what he said in that video, nor am I making any jokes on that subject matter whatsoever. There's a few things, mojo, karma, life experience I don't make jokes about, and that's one. And we're going to get to that in a bit because, look, I trust my body language reading. I trust my judge of character. That's despair and derangement, and that's we'll get to it. But to start off with, something that we can make fun about, that we can make jokes about, that we can poke fun at, politics and politicians. For those of you who are new to the channel, I am a proudly failed federal political candidate. I ran for the People's Party of Canada, which is one of the PPC, Liberals, New Democrat, what's the other one there? Conservative. You got the Green Party, you got the Marxist, you got the marijuana. So let's say it's one of 8 or maybe 10 officially recognized federal parties in Canada. Maybe there's a lot more. I have no idea. I ran for the People's Party of Canada, not because I considered myself to be conservative by any means. I don't. Nor did I run for them because I consider myself to be on the conservative or right side of politics. Let me take that back. I consider myself to be on the right side of politics, but not the political right. I ran for the PPC because I had no other choice. I said at the time I would run for the country before I ran from the country, because if I ever leave Canada, because Canada has left me, I will have fought and made an attempt to change the political landscape here before saying I'm fleeing the political landscape here. Who's calling me here? Oh, Nate Brody's calling me. He's too late. Nate, I'm live. I'll call you later. I had a question about Section 230 immunity clarification, which we'll get to in a second. So I ran for the People's Party of Canada, and boy, howdy, did I lose in my district, which went 53% to the Liberals. 53% of Westmount NDG, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, voted Liberal. And the Liberal candidate in my riding was Marc Garneau. You know what? Before we even get there, I think the lady doth protest too much. Remove the word not, and Smollett was... Well, we'll get there, but this is also going to come up in my first subject. First things first, Super Chats. YouTube takes 30%. If you don't like that, I'm simultaneously streaming on Rumble. Rumble has Rumble Rants. They take 20%. You can feel better supporting the company. More goes to the creator, yada, yada, yada. I'll do my best to get to all the Super Chats. If I don't, and you're going to be miffed, don't give the Super Chat. It's to support, and I genuinely appreciate it. You can also support us on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Back to the subject at hand, and then we're going to get to the me think he doth protesteth too much. So I ran for the People's Party of Canada. Lost, but how, in my district. But I got 3 times more votes than the PPC did in this riding last time around in 2018, although the PPC basically tripled their votes in pretty much every riding across Canada. So it was a rising tide and not an anomaly that is attributable to my candidacy. I ran against Marc Garneau. Marc Garneau, for those of you who don't know, was the Minister of Transport, I believe at one time, became the Minister of Foreign Affairs, got reelected, and then was promptly shuffled out of that position, replaced by Mélanie Joly. And there's a discussion of whether or not he's going to be gifted an ambassadorship to France. So I ran against Marc Garneau. And my Twitter feed is a little sassier than maybe one might think of me by watching YouTube videos. It's sassy for one of two reasons. First of all, everything gets read with snark and sass on Twitter, even lighthearted jokes, which is going to get to the punchline of this idiocy. But also, I've kind of lost my patience, and I will call corrupt psychopathic politicians when they are behaving like corrupt psychopathic politicians. So I was tweeting rather, snarkily at Garneau in the context of the election when we were running for office together. Garneau at the time was Minister of Foreign Affairs. At the time, we were having that rather, is debacleist a word? We were having that debacle of a withdrawal from Afghanistan, where countless and unnumbered Canadians were left stranded in Afghanistan after, under the bumbling incompetency of Biden and Trudeau, Afghanistan war came to an end with great cataclysmic consequences. But it came to an end, at least. Biden pulled out the military in the dead of night, and who could have seen that going badly? So we had unnumbered, unspecified amounts of Canadians still stranded in Afghanistan, and I was tweeting regularly to Garneau, how many Canadians are left in Afghanistan? How many Canadians are left in Afghanistan? How many Canadians are left in Afghanistan? While he's out on the campaign trail tweeting, images of whatever, which is fair game. But I never once got a response from Garneau on that question. I never once got a response from Marc Garneau on any tweet that I have ever made tagging Marc Garneau, asking Marc Garneau something, including Marc Garneau in the discussion, not once until this week. And I didn't even notice it because my notifications aren't turned on. I just happened to have found it. But what tweet finally got the attention of, I had to do that. What tweet finally got the attention of Marc Garneau, you might be asking? It was a shocking, atrocious tweet. We'll get there. Let me see if I'm bringing this up here. Do we see this? Let me see what we see. There we go. That's the one. Yes, that's the one. That's the one that got his horrible. Look at this tweet. This was in the context of Trudeau on Parliament Hill, apparently having issued a directive to the police, or there was a directive issued to the police. I don't know whose directive it was, that obscene flags and obscene messages would not be allowed on Parliament Hill. This was in the context of the crushing suppression of the most peaceful protest I would dare say the world has ever seen. Okay. Where they were banning flags that were obscene, messages that were obscene. And those messages apparently included the flag that said F with a maple leaf CK Trudeau. So in the context of that, I wrote, and it depends on how you read this, everyone hates Justin Trudeau, even Marc Garneau. And Trudeau's response is going to be to ban all signs demonstrating that everyone hates Justin Trudeau because they are obscene and offensive. Now, this is why the joke works, in my humble opinion. First of all, you have to read this like a joke. I don't know how else you could read this. The joke works for one of two reasons. Either Marc Garneau does in fact hate Justin Trudeau, in which case it's funny because it's true, or he doesn't actually hate Justin Trudeau, and who the heck can even come to that determination of fact on a matter of opinion, conjecture, hypothesis? It's either true or it's not true. And if it's true, it's funny because it's true. And if it's not true, it's funny because of the absurdity of the statement that everybody hates Justin Trudeau, even members of the Liberal Party. And I only, I picked on Marc Garneau because we have political history together. And by the way, I happen to personally believe that Marc Garneau does in fact vehemently hate Justin Trudeau. During the federal election, we had a debate in Victoria Hall in Westmount. And at one point, I only share public information, people. I'm a vault when it comes to stuff that I even know about people who might deserve to be publicly shamed. But regardless, during the debate, someone had asked Garneau a question, specifically, I forget on what aspect of Trudeau hypocrisy. I don't remember if it was about clean water with the Indigenous. I don't remember if it was about ethics breaches, but it was basically Justin Trudeau is effectively an unethical, corrupt hypocrite. What do you have to say about that? And Garneau's response was not a vigorous defense of Justin Trudeau's integrity, because that's impossible. His response was 2 words: no comment. From that, I decipher and I conclude that Marc Garneau truly does not like Justin Trudeau. And I also decipher that Justin Trudeau, I don't think liked Mark Garneau, because after Mark Garneau got reelected in a landslide victory, Garneau, as far as I know, he's an astronaut. He's led a life of integrity as far as I know. I know people who know him. We have mutual connections. As far as I know of Mark Garneau as a human, he's a nice man. He's a good father. He's a good grandfather. I don't know if he's, I don't know any bad things personally about Mark Garneau. And so with that said, he gets reelected in a landslide in Westmount. What does Justin Trudeau? Shuffles him right out of his position of Minister of Foreign Affairs. And apparently there's rumors that he's going to get an ambassadorship to France, as if that's anything that a man of Garneau's position in life wants right now. To travel around the world, go to France, be away from family, kids, and grandkids. So I have a feeling there's something of a mutual disdain for one another. But setting all of that aside, this was my atrocious tweet. I didn't even notice Mark Garneau responded to it until I saw his response. This is atrocious. To @ the Viva Fry. What gave you the right to put my name in this tweet with a totally false statement? Remove it immediately. Hashtag pretty disgusting. So, needs to work on his hashtag game, but atrocious. What gave you the right to put my name in this tweet with a totally false statement? To which I immediately thought, methinks he doth protest a little too much. And what gave me the right to dare mock Supreme Leader Justin Trudeau and dare mock, by inclusion, Mark Garneau? What gave me the right? This response. So, two things. Part of me wants to believe that this is also a sarcastic response. This is atrocious. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. To David, what gave you the right to put my name in this totally false statement? Part of me reads it like that, and then part of me reads it like this is a serious tweet, and it's the first response ever. Forget Afghanistan. Forget confirming how many Canadians are left in Afghanistan. Forget the political stuff. Forget responding to Justin Trudeau's ever-increasing list of abject failures as a prime minister. This is the tweet that pushed Garneau over the edge, if it was a bona fide response. To which I responded, my goodness, Mark Garneau, the fact that you didn't read this as a lighthearted joke, let me read my stuff properly. My goodness, Mark Garneau, the fact that you didn't read this as the lighthearted joke it was is telling. Also, methinks you doth protest too much. Also, what gave me the right to put your name in a joke tweet? That gosh darn Charter of Rights, that little pesky thing that says you have the freedom of expression. So that was the political drama of Canada for the week. But I mean, I still can't figure out if it was serious or not. But one thing for certain, it's funny. If it was serious, that after all of the politics, that's the tweet that pushed Garneau over the edge. Atrocious. That tweet was atrocious. Everyone hates Justin Trudeau. First of all, I have not met one person campaigning within politics, within a friendship circle on the internet, that actually likes Justin Trudeau. And the flip side is, if that statement is in fact false and Mark Garneau does not hate Justin Trudeau, that might be even worse than actually hating Justin Trudeau, because he is truly detestable. He has absolutely failed Canada, and beyond failing, it's one thing to be a failure. It's another thing to be an abject destroyer of the fundamental principles that made Canada great. Okay, rant over, people. Let's go to some super chats. Do you have any hopeful news to share? World events and economics are successive black pills. We need a light at the end of the tunnel. I have no good answer for that super chat. Not a banned account. This too shall pass. The wisdom from the Bible. By the way, okay, here's some good. Here's some white pills, or some stuff that will make people smile. I got a lot of fan mail this week, and I was going to do unboxing, but I told you why. I don't want to do it because I don't want to accidentally disclose someone's identity, a gift that someone sent, or whatever that will get them in trouble on the social medias. But I have been getting, I will say this, a disproportionate number of Bibles and religious books, which I mean, first things first, people, the likelihood of me reading a physical book with my eyes is very unlikely, but I'll scroll through, and poetry, or short stories I can do better. But I've been getting a lot of Bibles and a lot of biblical stuff. So there's wisdom in the Bible. Whether or not you are a religious person, there is good wisdom, good advice in the Bible. The best of which is, this too shall pass. It's not from the Bible, I've learned, but God helps those who help themselves. So don't give up. As hard as it is, it will pass. And that old Irish proverb, it's not so bad, but I forget how the actual proverb goes. Viva, most people don't know this, but Dr. Pepper was actually a real physician. I get this one now. Still traumatized from the dog that wouldn't eat the bread because it was purebred, and I didn't get that joke during the stream. Okay, so that's the Canadian politics side of things. What else did I have? Farm life is looking better every day. Also, good morning, all. Yeah, there is no question about that. Country life is beautiful. Betty bought a bit of butter, but the butter was bitter. So Betty bought a bit of better butter to make the bit of better butter better. Ooh, yeah. Uh-oh, I don't know what the good grief is too. Now, that was your optimism. Let's go get to some of the other stuff that we have to do. First of all, by the way, after this stream, I will be joining Eric Hunley. I don't know if it's Laid Back News. I'm not exactly sure what channel it's on, but you can find it. He's going to have another lawyers panel. Rakeda, I believe Nate. Hold on. Let me see something here. Eric Hunley. No, not Eric Clapton. Eric Hunley. Oh, then we're going to get to Facebook. We're going to get to Jesse Smollett. You know, I can't find it. I'll find it afterwards. We're going live with Eric Hunley afterwards. It's going to be a whole panel invoice flock of lawyers. Okay, not invite. I don't want to invite. I want to share. Let's just arbitrarily pick the next story. You know what? Let's go to DuckDuckGo. Integrity, people. Either you have it, or what's Jesus? I just blew that one. Integrity. If you have it, nothing else matters, and if you don't have it, nothing else matters. And a reputation takes a lifetime to build and one tweet to destroy. Evidence coming now. Do we see this, people? Let me make sure that we see this, because I can't see that we can see this. One day I will get over my neuroses, but that day will never come. So this is Gabriel Weinberg from, let's just see who exactly he is. CEO and founder of DuckDuckGo, co-author Super Thinking, co-author Traction. All right, fine. DuckDuckGo, you know, every time I used to say, I Google something, everyone in the chat, because I know the ideological leanings of, you know, people who watch this in general. And I know you, when I say Google something, or the fact that I use Google, people say, use DuckDuckGo. Use, what was the other one? Bing. I don't know if Bing is any better. Well, people are not going to be saying use DuckDuckGo anymore. I can guarantee you that much. Because this is what the CEO and founder of DuckDuckGo just tweeted yesterday? March 9th. What day? What's the date of the week? 2 days ago. Politics ruins everything, people. Politics ruins everything, even search engines that sold themselves on providing you unaltered, unadulterated results that actually reflected the will of the search, the will of the people, and not the will of the search engine. Like so many others, I am sickened by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the gigantic humanitarian crisis it continues to create. That is a legitimate belief and, dare say, a justifiable position to take. Not to say it's without argument as to where the blame actually aggregate lies or how it should be partitioned, because very rarely in life is it always black and white. But that's a fair position for a CEO of a company to take. This is where he destroys his company in one tweet, but it's an actual thread, apparently, a thread with himself. At DuckDuckGo, we've been rolling out search updates that downrank sites associated with Russian disinformation. What is he basically saying? He's manipulating the results that you're going to get on DuckDuckGo. For his own benevolent reasons, for his own reasons that he thinks are justified, he is basically saying, I am Google now. I am telling you what you're going to see based on what I think is disinformation. I am manipulating the search results. That is what he is saying. I don't care that he thinks he's doing it for good reasons. Talk about doing bad things for what you think are good reasons. We're going to get to Facebook in a second. He is unequivocally, categorically, without qualification, publicly announcing that his company is manipulating search results. Now, he's saying we've been rolling out search updates. Okay, we're doing it now. We're figuring out how to do it prospectively on a going forward basis. Yep, I'm sure if you're doing it now, there's no reason to ever suspect you were ever doing it before. But even if they were never doing it before, even if they thought, you know, the Uyghur humanitarian crisis in China, that wasn't sufficiently important for Gabriel Weinberg to, you know, modify, tinker with, compromise, manipulate search results. That wasn't serious enough for him as a humanitarian crisis. He's got his own standards. This is the straw that broke DuckDuckGo's back to justify censorship. But setting that aside, maybe he's never done it in the past. He's doing it on a going forward basis. The company was founded in 2008 based on my mild, brief internet research. What's going on here? How do I do this? That's it. 15 years to build a company, one tweet to ruin it. DuckDuckGo sold itself on unmanipulated search results, now admitting it will manipulate search results. Has it been doing it all along? Makes no difference now. Integrity irreparably compromised with one tweet. I mean, I don't know. I mean, people out there are better with the interwebs than I am. I don't know how you determine whether or not users are going to flee DuckDuckGo. I don't know if there is a way, there has to be a way to determine traffic to that site. I'd be curious to know if it's going to take an immediate hit, if it's already taken that hit. But the company, to everyone who came onto my channel in particular, or anyone else's, saying, don't use Google, use DuckDuckGo, they'll never be saying that again, ever. Congratulations, Weinberg. You ruined your company for politics. DuckDuckGo. Well played, sir. DJ or ma'am. I actually knew people both names. Plenty of people do bad things for good reasons. People reason their way into any conclusion. Reason is not the standard for what is good or bad behavior. Logic is. Still can't find my thesis on deontological consequentialism, and it's driving me nuts because I discovered the very hard way. I lost 20 years of emails on my Yahoo account. If anybody knows if there's a way to regain it, I don't think there is. I'm actually now thoroughly convinced that there's not a way to retrieve. I logged into my Yahoo account for the first time in a very long time. Like, obviously, I think it was more than 2 years. And I saw a nice little notification. You haven't used your Yahoo account in over 12 months, so we've deleted everything in there. And look, I had some stuff in there that probably was worth deleting because that was my first email account ever from 1996. My email address on that one was Roadrunner Dave at yahoo.com. Why was it Roadrunner Dave, you might be asking? Yeah, I'm not going to get to this today. Montreal Symphony dropped Russian piano prodigy from concert amid backlash. They should have backlash against them for having done that. Absolutely, absolutely atrocious. And it wouldn't be the first time the Montreal Symphony has put itself in legal hot water. They have, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they've had some serious lawsuits and some big payouts because of misconduct in the past. I'm fairly certain. I just got angry there. What was I talking about? Totally senile. What on earth was I just talking about? Chat, can you remind me what I was just talking about? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to wait for the chat to update me. Oh, Yahoo account. So it was called Roadrunner Dave because when I played squash in Cégep, they said I ran so fast I looked like a roadrunner, and so that was it. Roadrunner Dave. And 1996, I believe I got that email account, which was my first year in Cégep. I had that email address through my 1 year in Paris, where I was playing. Where back in the day, internet was so slow. I was playing a game of chess with my best friend at the time, one move at a time. I would email him a move. He would email me back. I don't think we ever finished that game. But I had my thesis in that email account, and that's pretty much all I care about right now. And I'll find it because I had a hard copy at home, and now I can't find that, and that's driving me crazy. But I'll get it. Cassidy the Carpenter, who I believe is running for office, and who I believe was looking to go to Ukraine to do some on-the-ground reporting. Last week, nobody was saying anything about Biolabs. Then once it's in the media zeitgeist, everyone clamors to have an opinion one way or the other. Biolabs people, did anyone pay attention to Iraq? Good question. Remember when there was Russian propaganda that the Russians had taken out biolabs in Ukraine? And everyone's like, that's Russian propaganda. There are no biolabs in Ukraine. And I had a wonderful discussion with someone on Twitter. It started off, Russia taking out biolabs in Ukraine is Russia propaganda. There are no biolabs in Ukraine. Then you had Victoria Nuland confirm, I think it was before Congress, that there are bio research facilities. When asked a question by Marco Rubio, and I did a breakdown of this, I posted the highlight to my second channel, third channel, Viva Clips. So go ahead and subscribe there if you're not already. You know what? I don't even care. I don't use that. I never use that email account. I obviously didn't. And it's better off you spam. Don't spam it. I'll go look. I'll go look now. I'm going to look at it and use it as a quadrutiary backup email address. But I just wanted my thesis. Victoria Nuland answering a question of Marco Rubio, which was a direct question from Marco Rubio. He said, "Are there biological weapons in Ukraine?" There are biological research facilities, and we're actually very now scared that Russia might take it. Goes from Russia propaganda, they don't exist, to they do exist, and it's going to get even worse because it's going to be clear what they did contain and who was funding them, because we now know that they existed there by and large because of American intervention, American facilitation, American funding, American logistics. And so it will literally go, and let me see if I can get this up here. It's going to be worth it. Share screen, Twitter. I think we can go here. Is this okay, you know what? I'm not going to take a chance. But bottom line, I said it's going to go. You know what? No, I can't take a chance. Let me do this here. I'm not that dense that I can't figure this out. Let's go back here. No, I am that dense. Back here. Okay, boom. And we'll just go to the, here we go. Biolabs in Ukraine, Russia propaganda. Okay, there are biolabs in Ukraine, but they're not biological warfare labs. Okay, they are biological warfare labs, but they're not controlled by the US. Okay, the biological warfare labs are controlled by the US, but they're for research. And I had this discussion where I put out a tweet that said, you know, America putting biological research labs, chemical weapons in Ukraine puts Ukrainians at civilians at risk. Whether you say it's their fault or not, when you put biological weapons in a country, you turn that country into a threat to any other country. And so whether or not Putin is the aggressor, is the violator of boundaries, is invading Ukraine, there's a difference between placing blame and understanding why something's happening. And by virtue of putting or facilitating the existence of biological weapons or research facilities in Ukraine, you are putting people at risk. You are putting people at risk of rational or irrational aggression from aggressive neighbors. And then I had this long discussion with someone who said, that's a fake tweet, Dave. They didn't put facilities there. They didn't put facilities there. And then sends me a link of a 2005 treaty between, was it 2005 or 2015? I think it was 2005, between Ukraine and America and the Department of Defense, that between the two of them, they're going to agree on locations. America, Department of Defense, is going to provide logistics, electronics, communications, finances, training. And I said, look, we go back and forth. They're not there. Okay, they're not there, he says. They didn't put them there. Here's a treaty. I said, even under this treaty, they're financing them. They're coordinating logistics. They're coordinating equipment. They're agreeing on locations. I consider that to be putting them there. So you may disagree on the rhetoric. You may disagree on the term. They weren't putting them there because they were already there. Some existed before. That's right. There is no doubt some of those facilities existed previously. There is also no doubt some of them did not. And by entering this into this agreement, this treaty, and facilitating the operations of, that is putting them there effectively. You may disagree. They're not putting them there. They're just facilitating whatever. And then it goes, well, you didn't ask why. Why they're there, you know darn well. America is going to say, we need to do the research because Russia is a hostile neighbor, and we need to have the ability to respond to a potential attack. Russia is going to say they are there to prepare for and plan a potential attack. So the why is only going to depend on which side you ask. And I could draft what the response of either side would be, because as a lawyer, that's basically what your job is. But the why was never the question. The why was never the question. The if was the question. Why is an irrelevant question if they're not there. Once we've agreed that they are there, you can disagree with whether or not they put them there or facilitated their existence. To me, that's the same thing politically. It's the same thing. In fact, it's a distinction without a difference. But now that we agree that they are there, that was the only dispute. You can argue over why they should be there or should not be there. You can argue over what the rationale is for them being there. But you can't argue about the fact that they are there with a treaty being facilitated, funded, and organized in conjunction with, or dare say, at the behest of America. Okay, where were we after that? Let's close this one down. How do I do this? I'll figure this out. Okay, so remove that. Yeah. So and the beginning, by the way, it was Russian propaganda to suggest that they actually targeted bioweapons labs in Ukraine because, hey, I'm an idiot. Like I'm an idiot with Wuhan. I never knew that those things were there in the first place. I never knew that they were there. I can't actually say I even knew of the city called Wuhan before COVID. Didn't even know that these things were happening. But now I know, and now a lot of other people know. What are they doing there? That's one question. They are there. Now let's move on from there. What was conspiracy theory propaganda 2 weeks ago is now mainstream news where Victoria Nuland is confirming it. And by the way, I watched Ukraine on Fire. This is turning into an absolute meandering stream of consciousness. Hold on. Nuland picked Ukraine. I was just going to say, Nuland picked Ukraine president in 2014. Looks like Russia just nationalized all foreign-owned property. Based Putin strikes again. Brave browsers FTW. That means for the Wednesday. I'm joking. I know what that means. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with based Putin. That is your opinion, and you're entitled to have it. Ukraine on Fire. You can watch it. I think everybody should watch it. Everyone will watch it with, what's the word? Not cynicism, but not skepticism, critical thought. You may agree with the message. You should nonetheless always watch everything, even that which confirms what you already believe, with cynicism, skepticism, critical thought. It's quite clear that anyone who doesn't like Putin is going to look at that documentary and say that Oliver Stone is being overtly forgiving. It's pro-Putin. I mean, it almost makes Putin look good, from the music they play when Putin's talking to the headshots that they have of Putin when he's talking. Oliver Stone dares to humanize Putin, which itself is going to immediately allow everyone who wants to write it off as pro-Putin propaganda. There's one. Write it off as pro-Putin propaganda to do so. But you got to, whether or not you hate it, whether or not you write it off, everyone has to watch it, because there are facts above and beyond what you might consider to be spin. But that said, in that documentary, I caught a clip of this woman who sounded like Victoria Nuland, who phrased an evasive response a lot like Victoria Nuland did with Marco Rubio. And lo and behold, it was Victoria Nuland evading a question asked to her by Dana Rohrenbacher back in 2015 as to whether or not, oh geez, what was the question she asked? Oh, whether or not there were any Yahtzee elements in the Maidan Revolution back in 2014, or the Maidan protests. Whether or not there was any Yahtzee radical influence in those protests that led to that disaster of a protest. Her response was almost verbatim, almost pacing-wise, exactly her evasive answer that she gave to Marco Rubio, except Marco Rubio was playing ball with her evasion and didn't press her on it, whereas Rohrenbacher was not playing ball with her and said, so that's a yes. Were there, there were, like I've said, there were Ukrainians of every color and creed in that, and that, so the answer is yes. There were these Yahtzees in the movement. Yes, yes. And whereas, with Rubio, there are chemical research facilities. Yeah, but are there biological weapons? That was the question Rubio asked, but Rubio was playing ball with Nuland and didn't say. So the answer is yes, like Rohrenbacher did. Yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna go see if I can scroll up to get a super chat that I missed. No, I got that one. Did I get this one? This one right here. Check the search engine. Check out the search engine censorship test results in the Rumble stream comments. Check out the search engine censorship test results in the Rumble stream comments. I don't know what that means, but I do know that Rumble moderates comments and has certain things. We have to make a distinction, by the way, between free speech, protected speech, and relevant protected speech. Like people say, like if I can't scream the N-word in comments in Rumble, it's censorship. Look, you may, if that's what you want, and that's your criteria of what is politically relevant speech, protected speech, you know, maybe there won't be a platform for you out there that is pure free speech. Hold on. No, I don't know what the word is in there. Okay, so that's that. We're gonna stop screen and we're gonna go to the next subject. Oh, now. So all that to say, the idea that Russia was bombing chemical weapons facilities, research facilities in Ukraine 2 weeks ago was propaganda, misinformation. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, it's mainstream news, and now they weren't doing it because they don't exist. It's a lie. To they were doing it, they exist, but here's why, and that rhymes. Viva's doctor wife, Ben Shapiro's doctor wife, Joe Biden's doctor wife, choose your fighter. Well, my wife is a doctor, but not an MD. So she's a postdoc, PhD, neuroscientist doctor, but not an MD. So that to me, I'm going to get into, this might be the most controversial thing I'll ever say. That to me is like saying you're a lawyer if you're a notary. Sorry, notaries. Yeah, we know that you're called lawyers and you have a law degree, but a notary is not a lawyer. Nor do I consider corporate lawyers to be lawyers. The only true lawyer are litigation attorneys. The only real doctors are practicing MDs and people actually practicing medicine. I'm being absolutely facetious right now, people. My wife is a doctor. Who wins between me and Ben Shapiro? Maybe we'll have a talk off and we'll have a debate off. That sounded really dirty, actually. Just found out Ukraine has a college dedicated to anti-Semitism that David Duke is an alumnus, okay, along with Vladimir. Look, see here. Anyways, I won't get into that, but thank you, Florida Dad, for the super chat. That looks like you're in Alaska behind there. That doesn't look like Florida. If I know anything about geography, there are no white-capped mountains in Florida. Britt Cormier in the house. What's up, Britt? I just want a world where people agree on the facts. When we cannot agree on facts, we cannot agree on the world in which we live. We can interpret facts differently, but we should agree on the basic facts of the situation. And who could disagree with that? Are there chemical weapons in Ukraine? Biological or chemical weapons? Yes or no, Newland? If they're there, are there facilities? Yes or no, Newland? Yeah. Okay, now let's go to the next one. I'm going to go share and we're going to see what we want to pick up here. But I love this. I don't have to take notes for these things because my Twitter feed is my running diary of notes of that which has outraged me, inspired me, and the news of the world in which we live. Do we do this one? Oh, I closed that. See, I'm an idiot because now, okay, I'm going to go share with this one. I think this was the one I was at before. Yeah, so I'll back up now. Let's go to Facebook. Let's go to Facebook. Like I was going to say Facebook, it was not, their expression was never do no evil. But I was inclined to say that Zuckerberg is not evil. And I don't use that word often to describe humans. And I'm not going to use it now. I'm just going to say I think Zuckerberg is adding some weight to the argument that he's actually evil. I know the origins of Facebook, and I would say that was evil origins in the first place, but look, call me too forgiving on young people, teenage people, university people. Most of them are idiots until their brains develop and they realize the folly of their idiocy. I was an idiot up until the age of 16, an absolute bona fide idiot. Then I was a pretty big idiot up until the age of 16 to say 22. And then I stopped being that much of an idiot. And then maybe I was just, stupid. Let's go here. Reuters, Facebook owner Meta is also, sorry. Did I skip this? Oh, because they had the first day. Yeah. Exclusive, Facebook and Instagram to temporarily allow calls to violence against Russians. Now, I don't believe Reuters. I'm not going to rely on that headline. I don't trust Reuters whatsoever. But let's just go see what they said, because I may not trust Reuters, but I'm going to trust the quote until such time as I find out that they've quoted inaccurately quoted someone who they purported to accurately quote. As a result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we have temporarily made allowances for forms of political expression that would normally violate our rules, like violent speech, such as, quote, I'm not even going to read it because I don't, I mean, well, if I don't read it, I'm pro. We still won't allow credible calls for violence against Russian civilians. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. There was another one where they mentioned that they could call for the death of Putin and the president of Belarus, I believe. Hold on one second. Let me just go see if I can find this. Oh yeah, the social media company also said, the social media company is also temporarily allowing some posts that call for the death to Russian President Vladimir Putin or Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, according to internal emails to its content moderators. So you can take that story for what it's worth, but I was going to say that, I'd give credit to Facebook, or not credit, the benefit of the doubt that Zuckerberg is not evil. I wouldn't judge him for the reason for which he started Facebook, which was to judge and shame women for their physical appearances. Young people do stupid things, and I saw it in the Amy Winehouse documentary, an expression that stuck with me ever since. Life can teach you a lot of things if you can live long enough. And so you live long enough, you see the folly in your stupidity of youth. But Zuckerberg is no longer a youth, and you grow from and grow out of your folly. You don't grow into it. And when you grow into this, and I'm not calling this folly, when you grow into this, you may have grown into evil. Facebook owner Meta is also temporarily allowing some posts that call for okay, we read this. Or Belarusian President Lukashenko in countries including Russia, Ukraine, and Poland, according to big tech is actively fomenting international war. Nothing short of this. And I would say that big tech is bordering on, is facilitating, instigating genocide. I would go that one step further in my own spirit, because when they say it's only against the invaders, it's only a matter of time before Russian nationals living in Ukraine are deemed to be the invaders. It's only a matter of time before Russian civilians within Ukraine are deemed to be the invaders. And then this call to violence against them is going to be tolerated, and I won't say promoted, but facilitated by Facebook and Instagram. It's only a matter of time. And we have a big tech company effectively, in my mind, promoting, facilitating war, and I would dare say potentially even a form of genocide against identifiable groups within other boundaries. And then it's only a matter of time before it goes for any Russian civilian, because same rationale always occurs in times of war. Any future citizen is a future soldier. So therefore, every citizen is a potential future soldier. It's the rationale for egregious acts everywhere throughout the world. So any Russian is a potential soldier. Therefore, this will be tolerated. I was going to put out a tweet. I'm very neurotic about, cosmic juju, like karma. I don't want to put out bad vibes in the world, or even the idea. And so I had thought about the tweet, and maybe Twitter would deem it to be, or maybe Twitter would misrepresent it to be a call to violence as opposed to a condemnation of the call to violence, like they did with Barnes's tweet. Is this what we want to go to World War III over? I was going to say, like, this is great. Zuckerberg has basically taken his company, which reaches 2 billion people, and says you can call for the death of President Putin and Lukashenko. All right. Well, can Putin now say, well, this right back at you, Zuckerberg? Is that how the game is going to be played? Or is this call to violence, this tolerance of a call to violence, only one-sided? Let that thought sink in right there. Well, is this carte blanche for Putin, who people consider to be a homicidal, out-of-control dictator? Is this carte blanche for him? Okay, we'll hey, right back at you, Facebook, right back at you, Zuckerberg. We will temporarily tolerate similar calls for similar acts against the correlative individual on the other side of the debate. That was one thought that I had. The other thought that I had was Section 230 immunity. It immunizes. There's two aspects to the immunity under Section 230 that are often confounded. But bottom line, the platforms are not deemed to be publishers for content put up there by third parties. Part of me is asking the question now, if they knowingly tolerate what is knowingly illegal, specific calls to violence against specific individuals or specific identifiable groups of individuals, are they not knowingly, confirmed by mainstream media now, tolerating, allowing, and I dare say even encouraging illegal activities on their platforms, such that they might actually lose the benefit of any immunity that Section 230 Communications Decency Act ever gave them? Someone in response to that tweet said, what did they say? There was a discussion. Did Defiant Els posted? Ooh, hey Defiant, how you doing? Let me just go and give you that. Oh, come on, I can't do it because I'm in incog. Oh, now I just screwed everything up. All right, we're gonna bring that out, and then we'll get some chats. But so part of me is wondering, have they just basically publicly stated we are going to knowingly allow illegal content on our platform as a matter of policy that we have accepted and ordered, dictated, advised to our moderators? Endorsing is the word. You're right. Thank you. Absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see, because I think they're there. I think they're there. Someone said this is not, under Brandenburg in the United States, this is not specific imminent threats. Well, first of all, I disagree in the sense that Brandenburg said, death to an aggregate group was tolerable because it wasn't specific or identifiable. It wasn't immediate. When you say death to an aggregate group, let's just say that argument might fly with invading Russian soldiers. Identifiable individuals by name, I don't know that would not have been found to be problematic even under Brandenburg. Death to a specific individual, I'm not sure. But like I said in my tweet, I'm not a constitutional specialist in the United States. I know what I think I understand of Brandenburg, and it was they were chanting death to an identifiable group, but no specific individual, and the court said it's not imminent, it's not specific enough. To be fair, U.S. has always held Russia as its enemy. Go back to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Two countries that have two groups, I guess, that have always been enemies of the states in lore. Middle Eastern countries and Russia. In every movie going back to the 80s and even earlier. Oh, well, Russia way back earlier, but then the Middle East filled the shoes of Russia for a little while. To be fair, U.S. has always had it. So it makes sense to have black sites, intelligence operations, and research facilities in closest, safest proximity to said enemy. It's only logical. There's no question it's only logical. If it's only logical, what is only logical from that enemy when they find out that you have weapons of mass destruction facilities in close proximity to their nation? I agree. I understand the rationale. The U.S. sees Russia as an existential threat, and it has for 50 years. I'm sure the feeling is mutual. And so what do you think when your existential threat is placing existential threats of weaponry, closer than some islands are to mainland United States? Do you think there is any hope bridging the societal divide when sane people who screamed follow the science regarding masks and vaxes, but are now aggressively insistent on their own science? This too shall pass? Dude, leave the white pilling for Barnes. My only white pill response is always going to be this too shall pass. It will. No. That was not that. Okay, that. Good joke. Zero pictures of Putin in. Yeah, but by the way, but atrocious to suggest that Mark Garneau hates Trudeau. Woman groping, dress up artist, 2 times ethics breaching, corrupt, incompetent, constitution desecrating individual. Atrocious that I would suggest that Garneau should hate such a person. Sorry, Facebook green light online. 2 minutes of hate. No, there's no question. Speaking of green light, let me just go see if we're yellow yet. Oh, we're still green. Awesome. So, it is like George Orwell. He wasn't predicting the future. He was just refreshing the past. Because I don't know if Mark Twain said it. He couldn't have been the first, but my goodness, he's getting credit for it. History doesn't repeat, but it tends to rhyme. Does the current vitriol against Russians seem ethnic to you now? Avoiding Godwin's law, doesn't this directed hate seem like a preparation for action. No, but the funny thing is, I don't think people realize who they are, who they're buying. I mean, I think there's a sub-demographic of the Russian oligarchs and the Russian whatever that people don't necessarily appreciate that they're incidentally targeting. But I don't play that card, and I'm not pulling it out now. The other trope is Britaxiant bad guy, e.g. Ska. Oh yes, the Ska, the British bad man. Aaron Taylor says, Viva, you should watch Journalism Under Siege. My goodness, the level of disconnect among journalists. Well, that was the one thing about Ukraine on Fire that we can all appreciate, even if you think it's pro-Putin propaganda. It's what they describe as how you co-opt peaceful protests, agitators, how it takes media, money, and politicians. I mean, these are things that apply mutatis mutandis throughout history, throughout the world. So whether or not you think they were at play in the Maidan Revolution or the Orange Revolution or every other revolution that's occurred, they are things that play out time and time again in history. And once you've seen them, you can't unsee them. And apply it mutatis mutandis to what happened in Ottawa. You had media demonizing that protest. You had, I'll say it, arguable plants in that protest to try to create the brand, the image that the corrupt media could run with. You then had politicians joining forces with the media to promote that narrative. And my goodness, what was just an absolute beauty of that protest, it never got violent until the police showed up, and the police were the only ones who carried out acts of violence in suppressing that protest. You might consider the honking a form of violence. You might consider the parking a form of a nuisance. I'll say it's mischief at best. But it was not violence. And the violence, as much as Trudeau wanted that to be anything remotely comparable to a January 6th, never turned into it. And you've got to appreciate a 3+ week protest that does not degenerate the way Trudeau was begging for it to degenerate. It was so dangerous that young female members of Liberal Parliament didn't even know how dangerous it was when they were walking through the protest every day to go to work. What was her name? I forget. So, yeah, once you understand that, and now I mean, you just can't unsee it. Agitators, how these protests get co-opted, how other interests come in, how government can plant provocateurs so they can get it to go a certain way so that they can then justify the response that they wanted to have from the beginning that they can't have unless it goes that way. Corruption through and through, and it's a little discouraging. But that protest did not degenerate the way, my goodness, those corrupt, filthy politicians wanted it to. Eternal truth number 4, Jussie Smollett did, in fact, yada, yada, I said, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're doing well on time. I figure we'll cut it at like 11:30, give everyone a chance to refresh before streaming in to watch the panel on Hunley. Let me just get Eric to get in the chat. Could you come in the chat and share the link for your stream? ? Smiley face. And while we're at it, let me just go to Rumble and see if I've missed any Rumble rants. What have I? Oh, I have missed one Rumble rant. It is Chrissy Reads, Kryssie reads, quote, when the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. Proverbs 29:2. I say, I might get an audio version of the Bible. Don't anyone out there do not have any hopes or aspirations of converting me on a religious basis, but the Bible is the ultimate. It's the first self-help book. I would say it's the ultimate self-help book. It has morals and proverbs that will allow you to understand the world in which we live, because it hasn't changed very much since biblical times. It's just gotten fancier. Thank you for the thank you for the rumble rant. The other, okay, sorry, I got that one. Let's see here. Booyakasha. Diliana Guitanyada at armswatch.com 4 years ago revealed U.S. documents proving bioweapons research in ex-Soviet states. It's a must read. Well, I think we knew that we know that some were there. They've been doing research since the end of World War II, probably before, if nuclear research by the end of, there's no question. Some predate certain dates. Others do not. Follow the fro. Yes, today it's looking reasonable. I just have to not wash it for a few days. When I wash it, man, it gets out of control, and it's like a cotton ball as opposed to a head of hair. At some point, we need to realize that the U.S. and possibly Canada have become an oligarchy. I mean, I don't even know, maybe not an oligarchy, but by the way, let me just do this. I got carbonated water. This is carbonated water, nothing more. And emergency hashtag, not an ad yet. But if they want to sponsor any one of my videos, I will accept a sponsorship from any product I have consistently used and like. I discovered emergency on my honeymoon with Marion. And it was such a, back then it was 2009? No, 2007. It was such a small company back then. It was like almost like a mom and pop's company. And and during the lockdowns, I have grown very familiar with emergency. Okay, whatever. Emergency. Call me. Have your people call my people. I have no people. At some point, we need to realize, okay, there we go. We got that. So let's get to Stop Bill 67, mandatory CRT training in schools, firing anyone who refuses to do that training. So you're Canadian. I'm going to go look into this because I have not heard of this bill. There's just too many. By the way, it's not an accident, I would dare say, that the opportunism to seize on this crisis to jam through under the international distraction a lot of bills, one of which was the universal basic income. I'm gonna have to follow up on that and see where it went. Canada's trying to pass a universal basic income bill because universal health care is not enough. Employment insurance is not enough. Refugee what's the word? Not supplementing, but compensation, not enough. Universal basic income. Where they get the money from? Who knows? What's it going to do to prices? Who knows? Nothing taints prices better than just, hey, you know how you increase the value of monopoly? Give everyone 10 times more money. They can afford more until the prices go up. Just watch Ukraine on Fire. I just watched Ukraine on Fire and Winter of Fire. Winter of Fire was much clearer propaganda without any historical context. So that's a fair criticism even of Ukraine on Fire. It really goes over some big stuff quickly. It goes over a lot of big stuff quickly. And I think it takes for granted a lot of knowledge, which even I don't have, but I know when people are trying to gloss over the complex stuff a little too simplistically. But when it gets into just, showing what happened in 2014, 2015, it's fascinating in a very bad way. Cuban Missile Crisis shows how the U.S. reacts to an enemy, placing missiles close to our borders. Difference is the Soviets backed down in Cuba. Did we expect something different from Russia? Hold on, what was I saying? Okay. Yeah, but I have a very short attention span. I just need the good sections, or I need the maxims, not the story. I listened to George Orwell's 1984, but the story, I could read a summary. All that I want are the good, insightful quotes. Putin and Russia are the latest boogeyman and casus belli for casus belli. I don't know what that means. For U.S. military and economic aggression, which always benefits the MIC and private banks, military industrial complex, and private banks. Raise your hand if you missed the good old days of the war on terror. Now I look back at the war on terror with a stink eye because I don't know what to believe anymore. Okay, then we're going to go on to the next subject. I think we've got two more. There's a new doc on the Subverse lawsuit not available to the public. Maybe check it out, an update. Okay. Will do. And then one more super chat right here. I lied. That verse hit me. Despite your beliefs or lack thereof, the tenements laid out in most religious texts are the blueprints to simply leading a fulfilling and gratifying life despite beliefs. I agree. In all religions. I agree in all religions. Take out the old, take out the bad stuff in all of them. Although I'll stick with Jesus's "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone," and he might have gotten canceled in modern day culture because that's not gender neutral anymore. The aggregate social intolerance to ideological differences is shocking. And now you got freaking Meta saying, yeah, we'll allow it. I'll allow it. What is promoting violence for 800? We'll allow it, Alex. Okay, good. Please look into Bill 67. We'll do. Screenshot. And remind me, people, my memory has been shot. Okay, well, I lied. One more super chat for now. Viva Fry, knowledge aspect is on point. You have an intimidating IQ, my friend. Love your stuff. Big respect. I've always wanted to do an IQ test. I never realized that IQ tests require the interpretation of the individual who administers the test. And if there's subjectivity involved in it, I don't like tests that are subjectively based. Although one day I've never done one. You want to know my IQ? I keep doing those stupid online IQs, and then I realize I get bamboozled at the end. They don't give you the results unless you pay for it to subscribe. I'm joking. I've only done that 3 times before realizing they're all scams. Filthy, filthy scams. Screenshot. Okay, now what do we have left here that we want to talk about before? How do I get that on? Hey, the Viva. Thank you very much. Okay, not invite, share. Screen share. Oh yeah, that was good. Okay. Chrome tab. Oh, you could see me. I can't see me right now, so you just saw what I just did. Let's just go to Jussie Smollett. We're gonna share this again. We can hear it. Let's just play it one more time.
Okay. I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this, and I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself, and you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just put that on pause. Now let me just go back here. Oh, darn it. Hold on, let's go back. So I'm going to close this one down. So I see absolute despair there. I read this story to my kid last night, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Very, very shortened version, a 1-page version. And the moral of the story was, a liar can never be believed. There's an old proverb that says, the liar's curse is not that he can never be believed, it's that he can never believe. And it's an interesting insight. I just very much disagree with it. The liar's, that someone who's a liar necessarily views everyone else as liars because that's how they think and that's how they view the world. Confession through projection. Yeah, fine. It's not. Yeah, I don't care that liars can't trust the world. That's their issue. The curse of the liar is that they can never be trusted. And you've got Jussie Smollett, ironically enough, who staged, and I'm not even taking for granted that it might have actually happened to him. My belief, it is objective fact that he staged this on himself, period. Okay. If anyone out there thinks that there's a reasonable doubt that someone else might have actually perpetrated this act against him, good for you. I will not rely on your judgment ever for anything. Full stop. He did it to himself. I don't even think the Osundara brothers were not the orchestrators, perpetrators either. Anybody who thinks that's a little bit less of an absurd interpretation. If you want to give Jussie the benefit of the doubt, I think it's absurd nonetheless. You're entitled to your opinion. I will never rely on you for directions or advice or cooking advice. Jussie did it to himself, period. Okay? He staged a fake hate crime against himself. And now he's stating, if something happens to me, I didn't do it. After being found guilty of saying 2 years ago, something happened to me, I didn't do it, and I did do it. So the liar's curse is not that they can't trust anyone. It's that they can never be trusted again. And so that is the ultimate sick irony of what Jussie's doing right now. He has, by faking a hate crime, he has victimized every actual victim of hate crime. He has victimized every actual victim of any crime, for that matter, because you get victimized twice when you get victimized. Once when you get victimized, and then when you have to, if you do go file complaints, go to trial, prosecute the individual who did it, sue the individual who did it. That is reliving the victimization. Jussie Smollett desecrated the sanctity of actual hate crimes and actual victimization. And in the hearing yesterday, for anybody who didn't watch it, it was atrocious. It was like the letters of support for Jussie Smollett from celebrities, from not-for-profits, basically name dropping. I am this, I've won Oscars, I've been Golden Globe Award nominees, and I'm not naming anything because it's not about putting anyone on blast. They went up and testified themselves or wrote their letters. Samuel Jackson wrote a letter. And it was all, predicated on the idea that Jussie Smollett has done good to the community. He's volunteered. He's contributed to society. So he should be given leniency. It was not that he committed a wrong and has owned up for it. It's that, let's leave that entire part aside. People using their clout, attempting to use their clout, I'll say it, I would think for corrupt political purposes, to placate potential donors to their NGOs, for politics, because if this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for politicians. It's embarrassing for the legal system. It's embarrassing for the judicial system. Jussie Smollett embarrassed everybody with this debacle. Steve Harvey, who came out and vouched for him. I would have said he embarrassed BLM, who vouched for him as well, but they're continuing to vouch for him. BLM, the organization, still came out and said, I don't know, they believe it happened. Okay. But these name dropping Hollywood types, these NGOs coming out and my credentials are sufficient, court, that you should show leniency on sentencing on this individual, and then people want to talk about corruption in the judicial system. What is the privilege? The privilege is political privilege and wealth privilege. So, but the bottom line is, Jussie Smollett now coming out and saying, if something happens to me, I didn't do it. Can't trust the liar. He's basically saying exactly what he said 2 years ago and still maintaining, something happened to me and I didn't do it, but we all know that it did, and he still hasn't apologized. And the thing that I really don't like about this clip is that he looks like he's in psychological despair. This is my impression. This guy is now going to jail for 5 months, by the way. That's not nothing. 150 days. I know people think he deserves more, and I've got to tell you, when he left that courtroom and raised his fist in defiance, still purporting to be a victim, still desecrating the actual victimization of victims. When he invoked the Ukraine crisis, the Holocaust, racism, bigotry, homophobia. He invoked all of these in his defense as to why he should not go to jail for the crime he committed. And in so doing, he desecrated all of those actual victims. So when he left the court and raised his fist to the court, never took responsibility, never apologized, continued to be defiant even after getting what many believe to be a very lenient sentence for what he did and what he could have done. I can now understand. He might have deserved more time given the way he went out. I was prepared to forgive him, even to my own, as a fault, for a long time. I think 5 months is a long time nonetheless, and maybe he's going to come to some realization in jail. But the way that ended, I don't think so. And I got to tell you, I am concerned the way that ended. When someone says something like that, in that disjunct manner, I am not blank. I did not do this. I am, it seems deranged the way it came out, the way it was delivered, the way there were disjoined ideas joined together in one sentence. It seemed deranged. By the way, let me just see if I can do this here. Should see the look on his attorney's face. I don't know if I can get that back up. No, let me see if I can get. Hold on. I had the Chartopedia. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to Twitter. Twitter.com/the. No, Twitter.com/the. When people, by the way, find the Viva Fry, I don't have Viva Fry as an account because someone already had it. They happen to be Russian. Now, when people see that, they're really going to think some thoughts. Okay. Let me see. I put together just a little. Was the close up? Oh, here we go. Look at this. Look at his lawyer's face.
I am not suicidal.
To his left.
I am not suicidal.
I think she tries to touch him, or maybe she's trying to get him to be quiet. She wrote something on the paper. Look at her face now.
My fist in the fears of Black
She's like, please stop.
Fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this, and I am not suicidal.
I did not do this, and I'm.
When I go in there, I did not do it to myself.
If something happens to me, I did not do it to myself. Says the guy who was just found guilty of having done something to himself and blamed it on other people. But I would be concerned if I were on Jussie Smollett's team, and I'm not saying this to be glib or facetious. I've had, anyways, for anyone who's been following me for a long enough time, let me just close that. As an attorney, I've had two experiences with this that are traumatizing for forever. Okay. Oh, that's it. Jussie only proves how a white Jewish kid can't expect a fair trial. Okay, that's funny because his grandmother came and begged for leniency, and I didn't know his grandmother. I mean, I you say we know Jussie Smollett is part black, part Jewish. You don't really appreciate that until his 92-year-old Jewish grandmother gets up on the stand and defending her grandchild. There's nothing wrong with that, and you can't fault anybody. And you can't even fault them for willful blindness in still thinking that Jussie Smollett is innocent. You can't. A parent's blindness is something very difficult to overcome, unless you get off on blaming your kids. In which case, Watch the last 5 minutes of the judge's sentencing. He went on for 40 minutes. Gotta love that emergency. Okay, I'll stop that even as a joke. I don't want to. Okay, let me see here. Bring that out. But no, I mean, I'm saying this not as a joke. He looks like he's in a difficult spot mentally, and he most certainly is, knowing that he's going to jail for 5 months with people who might not like him. I imagine he's going to get relatively, I won't say good treatment, but he'll be looked after. But when someone gets up and says, I am not that, I mean, that's not what someone who's not that does. I mean, that's when people start, asking questions. Whether or not it's an actual sort of indirect call for help, and as opposed to an affirmation, which typically you don't make that type of affirmation all that often. Okay. What else? Have you ever been a wrestling fan? Not the fake wrestling fan. I used to Greco-Roman wrestle in university. What am I talking about? High school. University was squash. Maybe no jail time for MAGA competition. I don't know what that means. But it doesn't sound good. I know what the stamp means, but I don't get the in context. Smollett, he seems a narcissist. He is a delusional narcissist. He will not change. He is unable to take responsibility for his actions. That's what just really grows my fro in all of that. It's that generally speaking, people want to forgive. But you can't forgive someone who he is still... In the name of Black Americans who have been oppressed for 400 years, they don't need you desecrating that history by staging a hate crime against yourself and then insisting that you were a victim when you weren't. In fact, the only people who were victims of that was everyone else on earth. White people who were wrongly accused of having done it, Black people who have been victims of this for real, homosexuals who have been victims of this for real, the legal system that had to put up with this mockery of a prosecution and trial, the police force that, Chicago already has its problems. They didn't need this. Suddenly there's a new planet for us to colonize, 100% habitable. Do you move your family to get away from Earth politics for hardworking starting from scratch? Do they have fishing on this planet? Serious question. The judge was soft. 5 months is a long time. And I don't know. I forget now. I think he's got to repay the $100 and some odd $1,000. Oh, when they're saying what did he say? He's donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to charities. That's what a good person he is. Well, dude, thank you for making the best possible argument that he should be ordered to pay restitution for the money that he wasted on this prosecution. By the way, his civil suit turns to SHI tizzle right now because he was found guilty. So his, wrongful prosecution, the civil suit against him just got a little bit stronger. He's going to have to pay all that money back, 5 months in jail. The dude still can't apologize to everyone that he wronged with this act. Crap. And I would have forgiven him. Everyone who's been around the channel, the Jussie Smollett deferred prosecution agreement was like the first of, that was what really started. That was one of the main stories that I started this channel on. Was I didn't understand what the heck was going on. I had to call some American family lawyers in the United States to ask them what the heck is going on. And that's it. And then that story just went on for 2 years, and it's over now. 5 months in jail. I did predict 3 months in jail. Billions gone into Africa. India released missile. Ashamed of us leaders. Sorry for you. We are all human. Need to get all tyrants. Yeah. So that's basically that's all we have to say for today. Could Juicy mean others were involved in hoax? He argued it. He argued that the Osundaira brothers were involved in it, but I don't think anybody believes that the Osundaira brothers were involved in it, but for the fact that they were pulling a favor at the request of an individual whom to them was the biggest star that they know in their lives, who could get them, their break to stardom, who was buying their substances from them. It's and then Kamala Harris and Cory Booker coming out. Everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon and exploit it so they can promote politics, and they all get humiliated and embarrassed by this, and the dude still just cannot fathom it. I mean, it's but the problem is, I like I said, if I were on his team, I'd be genuinely concerned, because he's now at the point where it has all fallen apart. He's going to jail. He's going to have to pay this money back one way or the other. His life is ruined. And where does he take what's the next level that he takes this to, above and beyond to trial, to conviction, to jail? So that's my concern. And this is not every fear hides a wish. I wish that Jussie Smollett would recognize what he's done. I'm just now beginning to agree with many people in the chat. He's biologically, chemically in his brain incapable of doing it. Okay. Feel free to dip your line in the water. Anything you pull up would be new. You get to name. Well then. One of my Zerosifer, one of my nightmares, my recurring nightmares as a child, was actually being physically installed on a planet and then projected through the infinite quiet and solitude of space. And it was like one of those nightmares when you wake up from it, you still have the feeling of that nightmare with you after you've woken up. So no, I think I'd probably stay on Earth. I know the fishing here. I know the good spots here. I could end up fishing my entire life on this new planet, never catch a fish, because I don't realize that fish on this new planet, I don't even know what they eat. Jussie is setting himself to be a martyr when he gets released. He'll be offered a book and movie deals out the wazoo. I do wonder about that. I don't think so. And I'll tell you one thing. If he ends up working at any of these NGOs, I mean, maybe the people are just so corrupt that and tribalistic in their politics that hiring Jussie will be good for business. But that not-for-profit that came up there, the human rights activist who came up to vouch for how good Jussie was when he was 16 years old, if that's their judgment, I would have nothing to do with that not-for-profit. Nothing. Okay, let me just go see here. So, okay, well now, you know what we'll do? I'm gonna go to a lie is a lie is a lie. When you tell one lie. Oh, okay. So hold on a second. Let me do one thing more. One thing more here, people. We'll go to Twitter, the Twitterverse, people. I think there was one other good thing that we should talk about. Cut that. Okay, let's just do this. Go back. Now we're going to go to incognito so that I don't pull a Hunley and show my DMs on Twitter, which I have nothing embarrassing or compromising in. I presume that Twitter is reading my DMs, just so I don't embarrass people who might not want to be known to have discourse with me on the Twitter DMverse. Okay, we're going to go here, share this up, and share screen. Go to my running timeline of, madness. Okay, so we got Nikki Fried. Forget, I don't know how she ended up in my feed, but I think Twitter is recommending a lot of her tweets to me because they know that they get me irritated. Okay, we did DuckDuckGo. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about that I almost forgot. We'll end on this. I'm not an expert on this by any means, but the White House is tweeting out, when we have electric cars powered by clean energy, I presume they mean electricity and rechargeable lithium batteries, we will never have to worry about gas prices again. Maybe, but we don't have that yet. And autocrats like Putin won't be able to use fossil fuels as weapons against other nations. He isn't. You are, the White House, because you could have gotten nationally energy independent on fossil fuels without much problem in Canada. And this goes for you too, Trudeau, in the United States. And this goes for you too, Trudeau, in Canada. But setting all that aside, setting aside the fact that Biden in his first day in office nixed the Keystone pipeline, Trudeau doesn't want any more pipelines in Canada. He's against the oil sands. He's against oil independence, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a national security issue. But what am I? I'm not a politician. Setting aside all of that, that it's as a result of their national policy that we are dependent on oil from autocrat dictators, whether it's Russia, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, regardless. And you virtue signaling fools out there who think, oh, we're going to forget Putin. We're going to punish Putin. We're going to go get our oil from Saudi Arabia. We're going to go get our oil from Venezuela. You guys have no clue, no moral clue, no ethical clue, no economic clue, no nothing. You are just ignorant virtue signaling fools to think that's a solution and not actually a problem. But setting all that aside, and I'm sorry, we're gonna ban imports from Russia to increase imports from Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. That'll show Putin, and that'll really show Saudi Arabia. Setting aside that, when we have electric cars and clean energy, we won't have to worry about gas prices again. Okay, go back. This is my response to that, because people just don't think, oh, I've got an electric car, I just recharge it. That electricity just comes out of the ground like magic. I've got a lithium battery, that 2,000-pound lithium battery sitting in your Tesla. It's mana from the heavens. It just fell down, and it's not like lithium and all those rare earth minerals, needed to be mined in some African or South American country with tremendous devastating consequences to both the local environment and the local population of people who tend to work at those mines. That doesn't happen either. And that energy, it doesn't come from hydro plants in native reserve lands, which are flooded so that you can create the hydro dams to create the energy. And in so flooding those lands, you flood acres and kilometers and thousands of kilometers of woodland, and then the mercury from those dead trees leaches out into the fish, and then the native communities who eat those fish have abnormally high levels of mercury. None of that happens because you don't see it, because when you plug in your little electrical cable into your Tesla with its lithium battery, you don't know any of that. So I just said, where do you think lithium for those batteries comes from? How do you think it gets from the mines in Africa? Or maybe South America doesn't have to come in on ships, but it's got to come in. How do you think it gets from the mines to Tesla? Where do you think the electricity comes from? Just because you pillage foreign countries' minerals and flood native lands for hydro doesn't make it clean, morons. And I'm sorry to swear, but you are a moron if you think that lithium energy, clean energy, as though it does not have any environmental impact. Did I respond to their tweet? I probably won't be able to see it. But if anyone had any doubts, let's just do this for 1 second. And lithium mining images. Boom. Oh, looks, it's so, I mean, look, this is not to be propagandist, because, mines, it might be the most environmentally sound mine on Earth. But it's, oh yeah, there you go. That's what it looks like, people. And you wouldn't want to live in that vicinity. You wouldn't want that to be in your backyard, and it's not. And so you walk around with your electric vehicle and your rechargeable lithium batteries, and you think it's clean energy because you don't see the waste. And Lord knows what you have to do to dispose of those things afterwards. I got a rechargeable lithium battery for my drone, and people just chuck it in the garbage. That's fine. Oh, those solar panels? If those solar panels are not disposed of properly, they arguably create more waste than oil mining, discovery, whatever, in the first place, refinery. So, yeah. So there's that. And I don't use the word moron too often, but when I use it, generally speaking, here we go. Yeah, it's warranted. It's just like, from my understanding, the actual cleanest of all the renewable energies is nuclear. But it's been given such a bad rap because of, two big incidents. What was it? Chernobyl was one. 1,000 Mile or 3 Mile Island. One of those two. Fukushima. And even still, that people say like, yeah, we don't want to have oil transportation on boats going inland and through pipes because it's bad for the environment. Check out what happened in Quebec, Megantic. So every now and again, a village blows up because oil, a train collides and explodes. Every now and again, 150 people get killed. Megantic decimated because you didn't want to put it through on pipelines because you could have a leak. Good point. Thomas Sowell. There's no right or wrong answer. There's only trade-offs. But I would argue that the less trade-offs makes it the right answer. But setting that aside, Thomas Sowell, again, I did read or I listened to White Rednecks. What is it? No, White Liberals, Black Rednecks. I listened to it. I like to stick to the maxims of intelligence. It's concentrated intelligence. So I don't, the whole book is good. It gives you some history, but maxims. Of course, I've heard of Stephen Turley. He claims the end of secular world peace, the return of civilization states, and the new. Wait a minute, no. I'm thinking of who's Turley? That was the. Geez, I follow him on Twitter. Hold on, I'm thinking of Turley. Oh, it's Jonathan Turley. Sorry, I don't know Steve Turley. I know Jonathan Turley, the constitutional scholar who discovered he was no longer a Democrat when applying the Constitution made him an enemy to Democrats. So I have no. Well, would this be called the balkanization of states, or and the new multipolar order coming out of the Russian invasion of Ukraine? I have no opinion on it. I do think the idea of countries becoming more, nationally interested oriented is not a bad thing. The only entities that are benefited from these massive umbrellas like the EU, the UN, these multinational corporations or multinational governments are the entities themselves and not the individuals in these respective countries that have their own respective national interests that they don't get watered down. They get absolutely ignored and desecrated by the aggregate, which is typically just to fund the machine itself. Well, someone laughed at nuclear clean. Nuclear is clean to the extent you don't have any meltdowns and massive explosions. But even the explosions. Hold on, I just saw one about nuclear super clean. That's not what I want to bring up. Oh my God, yeah, gas was over $2 a liter in Quebec. It cost me $132 to fill up my Subaru Ascent. And the thing is, like, you got your George Takei and your what's his face, Stephen Colbert. They have a clean conscience, and they're also worth, I think, $14 million and $75 million respectively. And they probably also, like Colbert joked, have a Tesla. Truth in jest, people. Colbert says, I don't care if it goes to $15. Wouldn't you rather pay $4 a gallon if it meant having a clean conscience? Heck, I'd pay $15 a gallon because I drive a Tesla. Yeah, you do. You know what you just became, Stephen Colbert? You became Krusty the Clown in that episode when goes back into stand-up comedy, and he's like, and then someone tells me, you got to make comedy that's more for the people and, not so snooty. And he's like, oh, you mean like that time your butler got the, I forget what the joke was. Stephen Colbert has become the exaggeration of Krusty the Clown in The Simpsons, which was already an exaggeration. A snobby, detached, arrogant, pompous fool who is so detached, he doesn't even understand his detachedness. I don't care if it goes, I'd be comfortable with the $15 a liter. I drive a Tesla. Yeah, because you can afford to get a Tesla. You, through your connections, even if you have the money now, you still can't get a Tesla because they're not available. He could get it. Yeah, it's good to be rich. It's good to be connected. It's good to be a snotty, arrogant prick making jokes at the everyday American who I can pay $1.32. I can pay $132 to fill up my tank. It's more money than I'd like, and that's fine. But to pretend that this is not a devastating thing on a great many people who now literally have to decide how many times a week they're going to go to work or drive across the city or take their kids to play dates. You're laughing at the face of other people's misery. Oh, but you got a clean conscience, Colbert. Yeah. The issue, Lynn Westover Jr. Wait a minute. Is that you from Wednesday? Because, dude, you look a little different. The issue with the burn pits from the recent wars is not from the shit. It's from the lithium batteries that were burned, among other chemicals. Yeah, the burn pits, I think, people don't know what they are, but they burn the waste. But I presume other stuff gets burnt in there as well. And yeah, There's no question that has caused lasting damage with people. Frickin' Stephen Colbert. Food and lumber aren't delivered by electric cars. Yep. Frickin' Stephen Colbert, man. I don't know. He went from being funny to being not funny to being an actual enemy of the people. Yeah, live long enough to become the enemy. Found you via Rekieta Law and your coverage in Ottawa. Love your work. Cheers, brother. Thank you very much. I love your avatar. I don't know if that's actually you, but that's a damn good photograph. Oh, okay. $4 super sticker. Thank you. Now let's see. I'm going to try to get to some questions that are not. Yeah, I can't read books either. Got to listen. Made the mistake of buying the... Oh, that'll make you angry. I haven't gotten to the end of it yet, but my goodness, I said, like, I'm listening to this book and I'm like, RFK. It's like that from The Simpsons, like, please stop. He's dead already. Like, Robert, RFK Jr., the longer you go on, like, yeah, Fauci is destroyed. That book just keeps going on, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Worse and worse and worse. Waste-free nuclear is now possible. Oh, here it was 3 Mile Island here. Fukushima was a 50-year-old reactor hit by a simultaneous tsunami and earthquake and 0 death from radiation leaks. 3 Mile Island and Ruskies had quite a few hush-hush incidents. Okay, I don't know what that means, but all right, so that's it. I mean, look, those are our topics. I'll just continue to dangle around here with some chats. Dr. Turley self-admittedly focuses on the optimistic voice of a time of such pessimism. It's PhD profession. Okay, what's going on in your avatar there? Looks like a fire. Oh, hold on. What do we see here? The fuel in America is too cheap. In Germany, it costs... Well, it's always been expensive in Europe. And I remember that when I lived in Paris in 99 to 200. No, I don't remember it from then. I remember from when we went back when I actually drove a car. It was always like 2 or 3 times more expensive in Europe. And for some reason, they only had diesel. But I don't know. I haven't been there in a while. But no, it's look, you increase the price of gas, and then they blame it. They call it the Putin gas price hike. A lot of Simpsons references today. That's like the episode when Lisa becomes president, and she's like, "We need a nice euphemism for this colossal tax grab." And then Milhouse is like, "Here's some he said, how we call it a colossal money grab." And then Lisa's like, that has the same problem. We got to find, how about a temporary adjustment refund? How about we call the massive inflation, the hyperinflation on gas prices, let's call it the Putin gas price hike, because it's gone up 75 cents a gallon or whatever it is in your metrics since the invasion of the Ukraine, except it was up 67% before then. But, never let facts get in the way of a good spin of narrative. The Putin gas price hike. They sat with a focus group and said, how do we blame this on Putin? And what name do we give it? Because it's not an accidental alliteration. Putin price hike. Putin price hike. It's almost pleasing to the ears. Remember plebeians if you aren't ripping off elites, charging elites and their families 4 times more than the normie. You are doing it wrong. Elites pay more. Dude, I'm not reading your avatar name. First of all, thank you very much for the super chat. Tarky Mayer says, keep up the great work, bud. Love your channel. What is Trudeau saying about offering Canadian oil, which, by the way, does not use diesel tankers to ship like Iran and Venezuela? Not much. They want to shut down. They don't want to approve pipelines. They don't want to approve oil sands. Not much. Fun fact, in 2019, President Trump had successfully made the U.S. energy independent for the first time since 1957, 72 years. I know what that means. That was from the original, I think it was the Rodney King riots, if I'm not mistaken. The Biden gas price hike. How about this? The Bidenflation. Is it an accident? Is it an I know Scott Adams would talk about the simulation. Just inflation, Bidenflation. Oh my goodness. Just inflation, Biden. No, now and Biden. Oh, you know what? It doesn't work with Biden because you don't spell it the right way, but sounds good enough. Bidenflation. Yep. 2 new words. That's what we'll call it. Bidenflation, just inflation. Anti-nuclear people talk about spent fuel rod. Yes, the great inanimate carbon rod. I say SpaceX can team up with the energy industry and shoot the spent rods into the sun. Win-win. Would they even have to go into the sun? They just have to go far enough into outer space. Putin price hike? Nah, I'll call it the Brandon price gouge. Like that one too. Okay, people, let's go. Let's recoup before we go into Eric Hunley's thing. But hold on. Before we do that, let me just give Hunley and all of y'all watching YouTube. I think it's on Laid Back News. Let me just put the link in the chat and then I'll put it in the. There we go. Booyah. Okay, so either Winston seems to be in on this. We've got Legal Bites. We've got Legal Mindset. We've got Uncivil Law. We've got Joe Neerman. We've got Viva Fry. We've got Hogg, and we've got Nate Brody. Let me just close this. Let me put this right here. Booyakasha. And that will be in the chat. So you can all go over and watch a little more law stuffs. Hold on. I just saw this Putin price hike. Now called the guy. We saw that one. Bidenflatio. Bidenflatio. No, Bidenflation. Oh, here we go. Hunley's in the house. Thank you. Eric, I'm going to pin it in the pinned comment after we end this, and this will hopefully be processed. I appreciate your enunciation. That is also a American Pie 1. I enunciate. Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, like I have mixed feelings about hate crime. I think all crimes are crimes of hate by definition. You have aggravating factors like so someone's sexual orientation being a motivating factor is more criminal than them being a man or them being someone you just want to commit a crime against. There's an argument there because all crimes are hate crimes, I think. Let's all get together and start a new gas company and let Russia supply it. Dude, you know what? The more I look and live through politics, the less I want to have anything to do with them. They are, even the good ones are bad, except for Maxime Bernier. He hasn't done it. As far as I know, he hasn't done anything bad yet, other than having left that super secret confidential manual at his girlfriend's place at the time, who had her own interesting history. But okay, I think we've done it here for super chats. Bidenflation. Oh yeah, that was me. What else? Let's see. Get some non-super chat questions in here. We're in this mess because of the Bush family. I think it probably pre-existed the Bush family. I think like to point to a contemporary cause for all of this, I think is misguided, because I think it's always been this way to some degree or another. I've started watching. I can't take it for any value because it's on the History Channel, but all of these World War I and World War II documentaries, I'm watching them. It's so glamorized and it's so stylized, and it's also the History Channel, which for some reason has very little history on it these days. But the more I look back at history, the more everything has always been the same to one degree or another. What are my thoughts on Poilievre? I have always been a vocal fan of Poilievre, although I've been a vocal critic where I think he doesn't do enough. He speaks well. He talks well. He cross-examines well. He makes good sound bites. He hasn't done very much. And there was something that he said. Oh, the idea of kicking out the ambassador to Russia, which he promoted on Twitter. I don't. That's not how you solve problems. You don't resolve international conflict by kicking out the ambassador to that country. That's how you exacerbate problems. So, I thought I think it's absolutely idiotic policy, and it makes me question his political judgment. We'll see. Change it to Brandon. Oh, Brandonflation. Yes. Sorry, didn't mean to yell. It is hitherto forever shall be known as Brandonflation. Let's see what we got here. We're in this mess because of us, possibly. I've heard the theories. I would tell you, I still say the same thing. It predates any one identifiable contemporary cause. Oh, you can go ahead and give a thumbs up. I'm not. Thank you though for the support and the encouragement to the chat. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, whatever happened to? Well, you know what? Whatever happened to Hunter Biden? Where is he? It's a very, very odd Viva puff. That's the thing. I'm telling you, it goes back to Jesus. It goes back to ancient Rome. It goes back to it's human. What are we humans? What do they say that if the history of the universe were not a fiscal a year, if it were a 12-month year, all of human civilization would be like the last second of the clock before it strikes the new year. Do you think that humans have changed much in 5,000 years? I mean, they've probably gotten new words. They've gotten fancier with their human behavior, but they haven't changed in 5,000 years. They haven't changed in 100,000 years. Too bad Joe Biden doesn't have someone who used to be an energy board member to talk to. Lols. Well, by the way, no joke. The History Channel is disproportionate amount of it is Hitler and World War II. But I mean, I guess like what people just love seeing that stuff. It's like, and they keep showing the same clips because I guess there's not all that much archive footage of Hitler in his political environment, and they just run the same stuff. Apparently, RU showing evidence to UN. What is RU? Russia, Ukraine. What would RU stand for? Oh, no, I don't know what RU. Anyone in the chat, if you know what RU means in that. UN, I know what that means. Oh, Russian Union? Okay. We got well one down. Let's go for the NASCAR. Okay, fine. Your freedom is interfering with your government's attempts to keep us safe. Oh. The truth of the wars would end government in the way they have, in the way they operate. Stop hating people, start hating hate, and start loving love, and honestly being the true virtue. When you understand, when you see what the government has done, it's so RU is Russia. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean it's like the people trusting the government today are literally trusting the institutions that they believe are systemically racist, systemically corrupt. But hey, the narrative of the day is one that scratches that itch behind their ear, and now they choose to believe the people who have been lying to them forever. The latest cover article from Metro magazine. Okay. Well, the standing around naked together, okay, maybe, because I have no problem with nudity in general, but yeah, I mean, I have no problem with the other stuff, but to say that straight men do that, I mean, that's to say like married men stand around and cuddle and kiss other women or other, yeah, which they don't. A single 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter cylindrical uranium fuel pellet creates as much energy as 1 ton of coal, 149 gallons of oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. I cannot vouch for that being true or inaccurate. I am just reading the chat. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second here. You do not... dude, we don't use that word in Canada because that can get you locked up under Canadian hate speech. I'm joking. It can't, but no, I've never heard it called that, and I don't call it that. But then again, I don't watch it all that often. Love your neighbor as yourself. And if they're awful, foul, toxic people, just stay the hell away from them. Love your neighbor, but good fences make good neighbors. All right. Viva. To pin a live chat comment to the top of the chat after putting in the message, hold on. Okay. It says 3 dots in your message, but I'm on, John, I'm on StreamYard, so I'm not actually seeing that. So let me see if I can do this on YouTube in real time. Okay, there you go. Stop it. You can hear that? No? Okay, so now I'm going to go here. Where is the ... Where is it? Let me see. Do you see the... And you're watching me learn in real time. Comment. Yes or no? Ask your... All right, well, I couldn't figure out how to do it, but I did a poll. So, okay, it's here. So maybe if I hit it, it's if I see this now, I see the comment. Oh, there we go. Okay. Pin message. Look at that, John. I believe I did it. Did I do it? Tell me if I did it, people. Okay. High hedges make good neighbors, and high neighbors make good hedges. Okay, I don't know. I just made that up. Okay, so I think I did it, and I think it's pinned there. And because it's pinned there now, we're going to go for another 5 minutes. Booyah. Hail from sunny South Africa. beautiful dog, beautiful avatar. Angela, nice to be here. Thank you for being. By the way, guys, I don't want to ask myself if it's going to get me into trouble. What does .5 mean? I see some comments that they .5 and then this elbow cough in the same format, and I don't know what those things mean. And now I don't know if I've just gotten myself in trouble. I'm going to shut my big mouth now. Let's see here. Viva, I once asked you to tug on your ear if you considered moving to the United States. Have you changed your mind now to be more effective where you are? Have you changed your mind now to be more effective where you are? I think I will be equally effective wherever I am. I do not know what the future holds. I can only tell you one thing. Life is more complicated with kids. So, yeah. Let me see if anyone in the chat is going to. Viva, next time ask Nick and Rakate's crew. Okay, dude, I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't know what's going on. Okay, with that said, no, who knows? Viva moved to Texas. I've heard Texas, Florida, Tennessee, New Hampshire. Those are the 4 states that I've heard are good. But life is weird. It brings opportunities and what is it? Humans make plans and God laughs or something along those lines. Florida has excellent fishing. And I can tell you this much, Clarice, this much I know. Ukraine is a very corrupt government. True. Is there a government out there that's not corrupt? And I'm not asking this. Is there a government out there that is not corrupt? I know that they said Ukraine was like one of the most corrupt countries on the list and Canada was low down. Canada's corrupt government, at the very least, wickedly so under Trudeau. The Biden government is a corrupt government. Is it as corrupt as Ukraine? I don't know. How do you measure these things? How do you measure corruption? Corruption to me is like piss in your water. There's no amount so little that would make me feel good drinking that water. If there's piss in my water, I don't care if it's all piss or 5% piss, I'm not drinking it. And it's sort of the same thing for government. Corrupt governments are corrupt governments. Do I think Putin's Russian government is any less corrupt than any other? Absolutely not. Do I think it's more corrupt than some? Absolutely. But what are we now saying? Okay, well, because it's worse, it's good versus evil? That's not how things work. Yeah, I just thought of that. And I think there was the jelly bean analogy, like one poison jelly bean and 100 jelly beans. You're not going to eat any of them, but I like the piss in water. I guess if there, no, even if it was diluted in a lake, I wouldn't drink it because there's other stuff in there. New Hampshire, you know what the problem is? If I moved from Quebec, I wouldn't go to another, wintertime state. We'll whatever. We'll see. Don't look up how tap water is made. Well, the one thing I've learned about tap water, people, is that the city has to keep the pipes on such high pressure that the amount of wasted water that comes out, you couldn't imagine, because they have to put the water on high pressure so that in the cracks in old water pipe systems underground, the pressure is so high that the water is only going out. And if the pressure ever decreases or stops, dirt comes into the pipes, and that's how you get unclean drinking water. So this is not advice to children to say, hey, Dad, when you told me to turn the water off, well, guess how much more water the city's wasting with high pressure to continue to push the water out of the cracks in the pipes? But that's a reality. Wasting a lot of water, and you don't even see it. So it must not be happening. I got bad news about your water. Well, so far, so good. I read an article once upon a time that said kissing your dog's face can give you toxoplasmosis. They have fecal bacteria, all sorts of bacteria that can make you horribly sick. And I was like, yeah, if that were true, given the amount of people who have dogs and have rather intimate relationships with their dogs by kissing on the face, if that were true, we would have noticed the bigger problem. So, miss me with that irrelevant fear factor stuff. Just get me with the stuff that's actually meaningful. Like, don't drink running water from a stream just because it's running water, because you'll end up with beaver fever or giardia. You will drink it and enjoy. Yes. So someone's saying 60 psi. All that I know is that they have to keep the pressure high. So, that's why I learned it. We had a temporary water pipe break outside of our house, and the pressure coming out of that water was so strong, it blew my mind. And then they explained why it had to be that strong, perpetually that strong, to continue to blow out where there are cracks. And come to Arizona. Well, first of all, you have aliens. You have Saguaro National Park, which was one of those experiences that changes your life. When you close your eyes at night, you will always remember the image of these saguaro cacti on the horizon, like millions of souls standing there reaching for the skies. It's I can't really think of another place that's equally as beautiful as Saguaro National Park, except perhaps Gross Mourne National Park in Newfoundland and the Rocky Mountains. Okay. What does not kill is dinner. Okay. Okay, no, we should really go now. Sorry, this is gone. Okay, 10 minutes until Hunley's stream, which is in the pinned comment in the chat. John Nickel, thank you very much for that. Everybody, this has been glorious. We might do it again tomorrow. Sunday night, we're going to have a stream with Barnes, and we're going to go over the big news of the week, the sentencing, the Russia stuff, all of the other law stuffs that have occurred within the week. Let me see here. Okay, sorry, I just saw one comment that tweaked my interest, but I'm not reading it. Russia's so corrupt because you fall back on 50 years of Western. Russia's so corrupt because you fall back. Not claiming he's a good guy, but after your convoy work, no, I don't trust the media. I just trust the fact that I know that Putin has locked up journalists in the same way that Trudeau has locked up protesters. I don't believe it because of the narrative. So don't straw man my argument. I believe it because that's the conclusion I'm coming to. I do believe that Putin has done very bad things in the pursuit of power and in the pursuit of maintaining power. I don't believe it because Justin Trudeau, authoritarian, unconstitutional, unethical dictator that he is, tells me that. In fact, every time he says it, it makes me question things. I've come to that conclusion because of my own reconciling of information that I have gathered on my own. There are no good guys. I mean, there may be few and far in between. I like to think JFK was a genuine good guy, but then again, there's a lot of stuff with Marilyn Monroe and other issues which don't speak ill of the dead. I don't know. You live long enough to realize it. Maybe what was it? You die the hero, or you live long enough to become the villain. And maybe it's only because if you die the hero, you haven't lived long enough for everyone to discover that you were all along as much of a villain as everybody else who lives long enough to have their villainry discovered and disclosed. Okay, on that note, people, Hunley with the panel. I'm going to go to the wee room, finish my juice, and get ready for another live stream with many a lawyer. Thank you all. See you Sunday. See you on the social medias. Peace out, peeps.